Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of Mick and the Fat Man, Series 6, episode number 12. We are coming to you live from separate parts of Australia. G'day, Mick. Happy rock and roll to you, sir. And how are you travelling?
Mate, I am just fantastic, so I'm told.
Oh, well, that's useful to know, because sometimes if you don't know, it's always useful to have someone to advise you of the status.
Well, when I'm not fantastic, people are not short of time to tell me, to advise me of that status.
Well, that's excellent news, excellent news.
Bit rude, some of the comments, but
Mick, I'm hiding up here in the far north coast of Australia, in the tropics, where the weather has been bloody beautiful. Sitting around the 25 to 28 degrees, sunshine, lollipop, all that sort of stuff. Fantastic. What about yourself?
Mate, the weather down here is nice. It's been cold because obviously we're 2,500 kilometres south, but the sky is blue. I'm looking out the window here at a lovely blue sky with some wispy contrails of clouds.
Oh, not contrails.
And that's not contrail cloud seeding, of course.
Thank God.
It's just the seeds.
Those bastards with their chemtrails. Bloody hell, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
You walk outside, it's a beautiful day, and all of a sudden, what's up there? Chemicals getting sprayed.
Oh, absolutely. It's a tremendously ineffective way, an inefficient way of delivering toxins to the population, I would have thought.
Yeah, there's got to be a better way, you'd think. But maybe, there's a lot of planes flying around the world. All you got to do is hook up a canister to every one of them, and voila, you've seeded the entire world with genetic altering drugs.
Oh, I think that's probably a good thing because a lot of the world needs genetic altering drugs, especially our cousins across the Pacific.
They do a bit, don't they? Things are going a little bit weird over there, aren't they?
Oh, you couldn't have written it. You couldn't have written it, and you couldn't have predicted it.
No, that's exactly right. You really couldn't have. And, once again, we're in the middle of this sort of Iran-US standoff, and I'm thinking, I hope there's enough fuel to get me back down south. Otherwise, I'm going to just have to live here, move in.
Well, you might have to do that, and thankfully there's enough power to generate to turn on the generator, so we can at least talk. Across the computational network.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's all bloody fantastic. Anyway, Mick, I know you've got another exciting episode planned for us today. I'm damn sure you have.
Yep.
I know I can see in the distance, back in the background there, the beautiful Globite travel bag with its luxurious interior bursting at the seams. Mate, what have you got hidden away in there?
Mate, that travel bag has this episode has captured so much information. I don't think we'll be able to get it into one episode. So if you just if you could just send your electronic signal to flip some of the catches on the bag, we'll be right as rain. And
I don't think I've got any. I think you have to use the zips,
the manual system.
I think you just press one of those electronic buttons on the computer and it automatically ejects everything.
Oh, okay, right, done. Wow, look what we've got inside. I didn't realise I put quite so much in here.
What do you got?
It's well, you might remember 1976,
favourite year,
which was a wonderful year for music, as it turns out.
Yep.
Well, this year, 2026, is the Golden Jubilee for 1976. So every album released in 1976 is having a Golden Jubilee, a 50-year-old birthday.
Oh, fantastic.
Who'd have bloody thought it?
50 years.
Mate, and there is just so much in there. There's Rolling Stones, there's Linda Ronstadt, there's Jethro Tull, Warren Zevon, everybody, Stevie Wonder, but he can't see. It's just fantastic. So there's all sorts of notes about everybody.
Fantastic.
And all sorts of comments about when we saw all of these people.
It's dizzy. It's dizzying.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Well, I'm just going to before you head off into that abyss, I'm just going to have a little play with a bit of. Rock news, everybody. Bit of rock news. So speaking of 1976, there's a few people who are from the era who are in fact touring. I'll kick off with When Hell Freezes Over. One More Time with Feeling. How often do you think hell can freeze over, mate?
Well, if this is who I think it is, it's obviously a couple of times. You know, this is the band members who haven't stabbed each other to death.
That's right. Yeah, well, the Eagles, oddly enough, are touring again. And I don't know, according to the article I was looking at, they're going to be performing in the Las Vegas Sphere. I know your favourite venue in Las Vegas.
Oh, I love it.
And they're going to be doing their Long Goodbye version 3.
Wow.
I would have been.
I thought versions 1 and 2 were just fantastic.
Well, version 1, I thought they were on their last legs. Version 2, I knew they were on their last legs. Fuck knows what version 3 is going to be like. I think they're going to be, I don't know, they're going to be fed bloody by IV intravenous fluids, I think, once they get up there.
Well, that'll save time.
Yeah. So anyway, so Eagles are out and about again. One More Time with Feeling. It wouldn't be money, would it, Mick?
Oh, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. These people are purely motivated by artistic pretensions.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, speaking of artistic pretensions, who would be more artistic than Journey? And, you know what? I don't know why I talk about Journey, but they were obviously quite popular. But you know what? I don't think I've ever listened to one single album of Journey. I don't think.
There's a song by Journey, isn't there?
Probably. I don't know. It's just one of those mobs that just sort of never really got me interested. American sort of rock genre. It's a genre, isn't it? That's sort of not that exciting.
Well, you've got to be on a yacht. You've got to be on a yacht and listen to it.
Yeah, you've got to be on a yacht getting your dicks bloody sucked. I think that's about what you do with Journey.
Oh, and you've got to be on a yacht for that.
Oh, yeah. You can't do that unless you're on a yacht. Now, but the good news is, Mick, the best news is that big old Roddy boy, Rod Stewart's back for a...
thank God. Thank God. I knew he'd get sick of his bloody train set at some point.
Well, he's extending his global run on the One Last Time tour. I hope there's One Last Time tour 2. That'd be good because it'll keep us amused for another couple of years, won't it?
He's had more bloody farewell tours than Johnny Farnham.
That's right. But, you know, he's another one that's, you know, artistically this is what he needs to be able to do to satisfy himself. Trains are okay, they get you half the way. Shagging good-looking blondes gets you half the way. But
he's a master at that.
But playing music will just get your rocks off well and truly. So anyway, yeah, he's out and about. AC/DC, God almighty, who's left in AC/DC? Angus. Last time I saw Angus, he was about 1 foot high and just shrinking every day.
And a statuesque blonde beside him.
Yeah, she's about 8 foot. She's I think she plays for the American basketball team. Well, anyway, when he's standing beside her, she looks 8 foot. But who knows? I'm assuming they're making like a little mini SG for him to play so that he can hold it. Anyway, Iron Maiden's out and about. Motley Crue are out and about. A double act that I know you're going to love. Deep Purple and Kansas.
That's fantastic.
That'll be good.
That's fantastic.
I don't know who would be in. I don't know who'll be in Deep Purple. God only knows who'll be in Deep Purple.
Oh, look. Well, is Gillan rejoined? Ian Gillan, the lead singer, a la Smoke on the Water?
I don't know. Can't even tell you if he's alive.
Yeah, well, John Lord's not alive, and one of the key features of Deep Purple was the keyboards.
The organ. Richie Blackmore, as we know, is somewhere lost in an English forest. playing sort of old English music.
So he does.
I don't know whether they'll be able to get him out. Maybe they can send in Maid Marian to find him or something like that.
Oh, could be. Yeah.
Lynyrd, Skynyrd and Foreigner, another double act. That'll be great.
That will be fantastic, that double act.
And then the final one, there's been a delay to the Yes concert tour due to a surgical procedure on Steve Howe.
Oh no! It's probably the doctors decided to expand the medical procedure and do the medical equivalent of a interminable solo.
I think what they're doing is sewing the guitar to him so that he doesn't have to hold it. Anyway,
exactly.
They had to put it off because he's because of whatever he's getting fucking done. Anyway, mate. Anyway, 1001 albums you must listen to before you die.
What have you picked for us today, mate?
I've wandered through the back blocks of the book and I found Graceland by Mr. Simon, Mr. Small Paul Simon, 1986. Produced by Paul himself and his engineer Roy Haley, I beg your pardon. The artwork was actually just by the studio, but it does contain a fragment of the religious icon depicting St. George on horseback, taken from a 15th century Ethiopian manuscript, which I know you love fucking Ethiopian manuscripts. I do myself. And after hearing the album, that's what I reached for straight away was the Ethiopian manuscript known as the Harag. So I've been getting through that, and it's an absolute bloody ripper of a story.
Oh, I've got one of them in my kitchen.
Fantastic stuff. 43 minutes and 18 seconds. This was a bit of a turning point for old Paul. He'd been on the decline, if anything. I mean, for a bloke that was with Simon and Garfunkel, they were big. They were really, really big. They basically broke up. Paul produced a couple of solo albums, and they gradually started to fade into nothingness. Now, some of this is apocryphal. I'm not exactly sure whether it's true or not. He agreed to produce an album by Norwegian multi-instrumentalist Heidi Berg. Now, Mick, I know you've been a fan of Norwegian multi-instrumentalists for years. It's been your thing. You just can't get enough of them. So she had this tape, and she was drawn to the music of black African street music from Johannesburg and Soweto. She lent the tape to Paul Simon, and from what we can gather, he basically stole the idea, made the album, and never produced hers. Look, there's a lot of fairness in this album, actually. The backstory, there's a lot of fairness going on. So out came Graceland. So at the time, it was very innovative because it had African vibes in it, which was fairly new and sort of regarded as being the start of the world music era, for want of a better term. And he had some very funky musos on there, some great bass players. He actually flew to South Africa to record the album in South Africa, where he broke the apartheid ban that was going on at the time, and everybody got the shits with him. But at the end of the day, he produced, well, basically probably one of his greatest albums, and one that was critically acclaimed, worldwide, massive, and he was accused of cultural appropriation, breaking the apartheid ban, stealing from local musos. stealing from Los Lobos, who were also not credited for some of the songs on there, and stealing from Heidi, whatever her name was, Heidi Klum, Harley Berg. But nonetheless, he got an album
Heidi
out.
Klum was on the cover. Yeah,
She was there on the horse.
yeah, that's right.
So Mick, tell me a little bit more about old Paul.
Look, mate, Paul Simon is an interesting exercise. We've talked about him in the past, and we talked about him in Great Feuds, the episode on Great Feuds, his wonderful relationship with Art Garfunkel. And it seems that his relationship with Art Garfunkel, and it's only apocryphal, so we don't have any, like last time I was talking to Paul, he never mentioned anything about his feuds with anybody, but certainly a lot of people have said that he's a somewhat difficult character to get along with, and he's prone to
a prickly fellow.
Well, parts of that, yes, and. And I think he's got a touch of the Jimmy Pages.
Yeah, right.
In that whatever he hears belongs to him.
Yes, I think that's exactly right.
Yeah. So look, I'm in two minds about this album and a lot of these people talking about the South Africa exercise. I tend to believe that there's a lot of opportunity to bring South African musicians out into the spotlight by working with them, and this was certainly the case here. Ladysmith Black Mambazo, acquired a career in the West and a lot of exposure through their working on this album with Paul Simon.
Indeed, very much so.
Yeah, the album itself, really good. He's not normally my type of music. He's a bit folky for me, but the rhythms on this album, the songs are bright and fresh. The rhythms are very good. The street music that he was looking to get really lifted his songs. They are Paul Simon songs with an overlay of an African influence. The song Graceland, very, very, very fast-picked acoustic guitar underneath it. Really nice. Overall, I think it is a good album. I think the controversy overshadowed it quite a bit, which, so Paul Simon and controversy belong in the same box, because they're so user-friendly.
At the end of the day, you're right. So many musos actually got to be on the world stage, made a good wage, a good amount of money because of the Paul Simon album.
Yeah,
he highlighted the music style and the influences that went into this album, brought the whole thing to worldwide attention. The whole thing about the apartheid bans were political decisions, and the belief that by using cultural methods of putting pressure onto South Africa, it would change things. But realistically, I think the whole cultural thing had nothing to fucking do with it. It was, it was the fact that there was a bunch of pricks running the joint, and to use music, sport, and those sorts of things to actually bring to bear pressure onto the government. I don't know whether it was even effective, So I'm not dissing Paul for this, to be honest. He wasn't the only one. Plenty of other people did it. Plenty of other sportsmen, musos, and all sorts of people broke this ban, and we still ended up with the apartheid being removed. So they can get fucked.
I do think a lot of it was what's become almost mandatory in the internet these days of finding anything to complain about and picking on people about it. The comments about fashion. It's always been, if you see something and you like it, you do it too, right? And whilst I'm not going to apply cornrows to what is left of my limited amount of hair, the fact that some the fact that some white girl in San Francisco does it really isn't an example of cultural appropriation, for God's sake. It's an example of fashion.
Yeah, I I agree. We have the internet has, if nothing else, created one of the major cultures of grievance.
That's exactly it.
Everybody has a whinge about something. Yeah. Just enjoy life and move on. It's a great album. Yes, it has. It was controversial at the time. I think here we are, 50 years later. 50 years later, still a great album. People still listen to it. I still listen to it. There's some great songs on it. Let's move on.
Yeah, I think so. It is a good album. Forget all the whinging. You either like it or you don't.
The whole world. I mean, you and I, even 20 years ago, would never have conceived this whole concept of the internet and influencers and those sorts of things. Which is, it's just a whole different world. My daughter was just in Bali, and they went to the posh part of Bali. They went over and stayed at Uluwatu and went down to Molasti Beach. And she said, while they were down at Molasti Beach, because there's nothing at Molasti Beach except beach clubs, so people sitting around lounge chairs, drinking booze, swimming in the water. But she said the number of people that were walking in with microphones talking and videoing as they're walking, saying, here we are at Molasti Beach. I'm just videoing, just showing you all what it's like, everybody. And she said it was just bizarre. Like, it wasn't like one person, it wasn't two. There was a lot of people there for influencers. Then they went and had dinner at the at one of the sunset bars, overlooking Uluwatu there, where you can stay on the big sort of terrace and look out over. Yep. And you pay a premium of $300 minimum to sit at the front seat. That's your seating charge. Then your food's on top of it. If you sit one row back, it's $150. Seat 2 rows back, it's $100. She said the food was mediocre, but the view was spectacular. But everybody's there.
We never
You've got to be an influencer.
We never paid a seating charge to sit at Michael's bar at Legian, mate. We just said couple of bintangs, thanks, mate.
And we'll ride on the water.
Exactly.
Right there.
Yeah.
And, we could, anyway, so that side of Bali over the other side of the airport, it all gets a bit weird, mate.
It does, yes. Well, it's the same in most places, isn't it? It all gets weird the other side of the airport.
That's an old saying. Who could forget it? Anyway, Mick, let's kick on. Let's kick on to a golden jubilee of albums. What do you got for us, mate?
Mate, 1976 was a fantastic year for albums. We were teenagers and we were right at prime music listening point zero. So lots of stuff came out.
Thank God we were prime for something.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's just gone downhill from there, of course. But
terribly.
But there's a lot of stuff came out in 1976. The list goes on for several A4 pages. It's just extraordinary of releases that we would be interested in. And so I've culled through a lot of those, picked out stuff that we know that we've got an opinion on, good, bad, or indifferent. And what I'd like to do today is go through some of those albums, pick ones that as I say, are good, bad, or indifferent. There's stuff that we absolutely still adore today, and there's stuff that time has rehabilitated. We thought it was crap at the time, and subsequent reassessments have said, well, it's a good album. Well, in some of these cases, I don't agree with those reassessments, but if it's crap to start, it's crap to finish. But look, let's start off with, say, the Rolling Stones, Black and Blue. Now, their 80s albums, in fact, leading into their 80s albums, this is post Sticky Fingers, post Exiles on Main Street, in fact, post Mick Taylor. And
this is the album that he did not play on.
Absolutely, and they in fact, one of the interesting points about the album, one of the few interesting points, I don't like it, by the way, is that it features a whole lot of different guitarists because they were trying out different guitarists. They didn't have any fixed feel that they were looking for. They were open to ideas. Graham Parsons, who was a big influence on Keith, had died a couple of years earlier. So Mick Taylor upped and left. I think for a number of reasons. One is he was a bit sick of Jagger and Richards claiming all the credit for everything. And he had a burgeoning heroin problem, which he had to leave to get rid of. And we've talked before about the curse of the Rolling Stones. And
I think there was also he was a very, very good guitarist. And I don't know whether it was jealousy or anything like that, but he did create this whole thing of sort of two lead guitarists, and after he left, it turned into less of that. It was more lead guitar by Keith, and then rhythm guitar after that. So there was that. And as you said, he had the shits with Richards and
Jagger, we call him.
He had the shits with Richards and Jagger, basically misappropriating again any songs. He has since denied that. He said, no, it was all good, mate, no problems. So who knows?
Yeah. It's a bit of a boiler room atmosphere apparently within the Stones.
Yeah.
Good luck to them. I do firmly believe, and haven't moved from that belief, that the 5 albums they did with Mick Taylor were the 5 best they'd ever done. Yeah, Exile on Main Street is my favourite Stones album of all,
without doubt. Yeah.
And Sticky Fingers. The problem is when you start talking about different albums, people say, "Well, you're ranking them." No, they're all bloody absolutely fantastic, but Exile on Main Street is my favourite. It doesn't have to be the best, and Richards doesn't think it's the best, but it's just got so much life in it.
I think Exile on Main Street and Sticky Fingers still stand out as 2 of the great record covers as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great record.
Mick Jagger's undies, yes. But anyway, look, as I say, they were trying to find a guitarist. So guitarists that feature on this album include Harvey Mandel from Canned Heat, which,
okay,
it's sort
that
of
probably would have been okay.
A white boy funk sort of sound, that southerner sound that Canned Heat had. Wayne Perkins from the Wailers. Who Eric Clapton was going through a bit of a reggae period, and he recommended Wayne Perkins to the Stones, and Ronnie Wood, and we all know who won out ultimately.
Yeah, Wayne's been good ever since, hasn't he?
Oh, he's done a lot of stuff. Yeah, I've got all of his albums here on the corner of my desk.
Yeah,
right beside the tissue box. Yeah. I think that Taylor's absence was noticeable in 2 main ways: the sharpness of the delivery, and again compare it to the 2 albums that we've particularly mentioned, and they adopted a more funky style, which I've never ever been really excited about. This album sort of blazes the trail for a lot of the stuff they did in the following 20 years. That reggae influence, funk.
I thought it was great. Oh, it's hot stuff, isn't it?
Oh God, yeah, it's awful. Yeah,
but there are some good songs on it. I must admit, those ones that are probably more.
I must have missed them.
Yeah, I was listening to it. Where was it? Oh, I can't remember now.
Probably in the loo. Yeah.
Just give me. I can't remember the name of it. That's why. I'll just keep looking here. How are you going anyway?
It's all going well. Here's another bit you need to edit out.
That's it. It's funny, I just typed in Black and Blue into Apple, and nothing comes up for the Stones. There's so much Black and Blue around.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Move on.
Yeah.
Move on. Okay. Anyway, so look. Thank you, Rolling Stones. It was fantastic. Some shit songs in there.
But look, even the band doesn't think this album was very good. Richard said exactly that. It wasn't very good. And Jagger said, we didn't care. We weren't really concentrating on the creative process. We were focusing on finding a guitarist. I thought, well, there's a bloody ringing endorsement from the 2 people who produced it and led it.
Why would you even fucking say that? Why would you say that?
Well, you don't always believe anything Jagger and Richard says too.
True.
They say things either because they're off their face or they just want to create a bit of controversy.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
What about the Modern Lovers?
What else? Oh, now there's a good little number.
Yeah.
What about the Modern Lovers, mate?
Well, probably best known for the single that came off this album called Roadrunner. With Jonathan Richman. Roadrunner once, Roadrunner twice. I'm in love with rock and roll. Great Velvet Underground, Stooges type. Really chunky guitar.
Yep.
That garage band style, aggressive, hard rocking, very influential. Now, this is an album that was recorded 4 years before it was released. By the time it was released, the band had been split up for 4 years, and Jonathan Richman had changed his style completely to a more childish almost nursery rhyme sort of thing. I don't know whether Chemicals were involved in that. I've not seen anything to that effect, but his later stuff didn't excite me. But he had some interesting people playing on this album. He had Dave Robertson from who later went on to join the Cars, and he had Jerry Harrison, who went to became part of the Talking Heads. So he's got all the credibility, but I think they got held up. The label was fluffing around. There was major delays in completing the record. So the band just split in 1974 and said, bugger this, I'm out of here, and left Richmond to be carrying on by himself. Another major song that's on this album is Pablo Picasso. So if you're a John Cale fan, and I've heard it said that I am.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I've heard that too.
Yeah, the song Pablo Picasso, it was covered later by Cale. And it says, he could walk down the street and girls could not resist his stare. Nobody called Pablo Picasso an asshole, not like you. So sophisticated lyrics, great stuff. I saw the Modern Lovers supporting Cale in the early 80s. And Cale's comment to me when I had a very, very brief chat to him, Jonathan's a lot of fun. And I thought, well, that's one way of putting it.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right. Let's move on, mate. What else you got?
How about something a bit more consistent, a bit solid, still around today? Joan Armatrading.
Oh, I love Joan.
Yeah, she's a British singer, songwriter, and guitarist. She's of West Indian extraction, and I don't know if you've heard of the John. Well, I don't know if you've heard. Of course, you've heard of the John Peel sessions. He's a very influential DJ.
Indeed.
In the 70s and 80s on the BBC, broke an untold number of new bands and constantly on the look for new music. And she appeared on his show 8 times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was really enamoured of her style and thought that she was fantastic. She was the first black British female singer to enjoy international success. This is a 3rd album, and it was her commercial and global breakthrough. She really made it with this album. Direct, really almost rocky, sort of rock folk style, but leaning more towards rock about love, the pain and anguish of love, and basically getting on with other people. All of her first 4 albums, and this is the 3rd, as I say, were produced by Glyn Johns, who was the gun producer of the time. Produced
Indeed.
And anyone that you can think of, your name, Glyn Johns was there, and either producing or doing some techo work on the album. Songs on this album include Down to Zero and Love and Affection. Yep. She really made a mark with this album, and here we are 50 years later, and people are still singing Down to Zero and enjoying her work. It had moderate success, number 12 in the UK, which is not too bad. Only made it to number 52 on the Australian charts, because really that mid-70s was sort of when Australian charts started to get a little bit more sophisticated before going down again. Probably in line with the release of the radio station to Double J.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and she got a bit of airplay on that. Wasn't a big success in the US, number 67 on the Billboard charts. But interesting, she had because the work on the album was done at a number of different studios. She had two different drummers, Dave Mattacks from Fairport Convention, so there's the folky sort of style, and Kenney Jones from the Faces, so there's your rocky. So that's really interesting that you've got that balance.
Okay, interesting.
I saw her in the early 90s when she was touring on a double bill with Boz Scaggs. She was fantastic. Very tight band. The sound was very crisp. And, she delivered all of the highlights of her chart success, and including, the songs that we're talking about on this album. I thought, I went there thinking, oh, yeah, Joan Armatrading. I've come to this show to see Boz Scaggs. She was the highlight. I walked away from this show thinking, isn't Joan Armatrading so much more fantastic than I'd ever given her credit for? And isn't Boz Scaggs crap?
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, why don't you tell me about Boz Scaggs and Silk Degrees?
which was back when he was great. Yeah, Silk Degrees.
Still a favourite of mine.
It's still a great album. And this was the album that they picked the songs from to advertise that tour in the early 90s. So everyone thinks they're getting this white boy urban soul rock sort of thing. And he in the 90s and through to today, he's sort of adopted a more of a smooth jazz sort of style, which it's all right if you want to have a sleep in the auditorium, but at $100+ a ticket, I don't want to go to sleep.
No.
But this album, Silk Degrees, was just awesome. This was this is an album that's an early influence on your love of good production, Jeffrey. Features good melodies, horn and string arrangements, and very clear production. Everything sort of jumped out of the speakers in the right balance.
It's a fucking awesome album, absolutely awesome. And interestingly, well, like you, I guess, I've jumped forward and listened to a couple of albums later in his career. I jumped forward and listened to a couple of albums later in his career, and they're not my cup of tea. They're all right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them, but just not my cup of tea. And I think it's, as you sort of said, that change away from this sort of R&B sort of pop rock sort of vibe with a happy sort of album.
Yeah.
Really cool, really cool album, bouncing around the place. It's a great song. It's a great album to put on and just sort of bounce around. It's a good washing up album, I reckon.
Well, you'd recall that, as I've said with a couple of other albums in the past, we'd hear them at parties, we'd hear them in people's cars, when they put on the tape or the 8-track. Remember those?
God!
But this is one of the albums that we'd sit in your lounge room down there on Hannons Road and listen to.
Indeed, it was a great album.
While we were slurping a couple of illicit beers because we weren't old enough.
Yes, or perhaps having a home brew, which was
even more illicit.
Successful.
No,
never successful. No. Never successful. Quite strong, but very bad flavoured.
That's one way of putting it. Hey,
very unpleasant.
Did you? Yeah, I know how much you often look at the credits of albums, and the band that what's his name?
Bosley Scaggs.
Yeah, Bosley Scaggs. Boz Scaggs' backing band, David Paich, Jeff Porcaro, and David Hungate. They went on to form Toto. So we didn't know it, but there was already a reason to like them.
And Toto, to be honest, Toto are a great band. They are a great band.
Yeah.
You might not like the music, but my God, they're amazing musos.
Very talented musicians, yeah. Jeff Porcaro in particular, I've always admired his playing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
I just don't like Toto. I can't get interested in Toto.
No, there's just sort of this overproduced sort of slop. But that I always think of when I heard I can't remember who it was talking about Africa. They wrote the music for Africa. They got all that music. It's really complicated music. Then they had to figure out, what are we going to put for words in it? So they just sort of made these words up. But the song is this awesome, awesomely produced song, which has got lyrics chucked on the top of it. So and to this day, it still remains one of the great mass choir songs known to man.
Did you know that when, for those of you who are recent attendees to this podcast, Jeff forever goes on about massed bands and massed orchestras recorded around the world and put all together on one track, and he found a massed band thing of Africa and focused a show around it. It was just bloody awful, absolutely awful. But I've received correspondence since talking about, please don't do any more of those.
But this one, but you remember there's the one which was done in a group of different pubs around Australia.
Oh yes, that was one of
There's
them.
one there was one that was in Russia somewhere. There's a group of Russians doing it. Big mass band. There was a mass drumming band doing it. There's been children doing it during the highlight. Probably its highest moment in modern history was during the pandemic, where everybody was doing mass, sort of online music. God, thank God we had the internet then, because that would have been really, well, depending on your point of view, it would have been really nice and quiet, or so much fun with mass choir events. So I had some great. There's some great mass band stuff around. Look them up. There's a woman, an Australian woman. She's done it in America. She's done it all over the place, and she gets huge credit for doing these things. And she just goes in. She can literally go into a hall, and within half an hour, it's got this whole mass choir with different parts singing different things. And it sounds mediocre, but if you're in there, it's probably fun, But there you go.
Even the description sounds awful.
I'm going to find this woman and get a couple up for you next time.
I can't imagine Peter Frampton being in a mass choir, mate, because he's got his own solo album called Frampton Comes Alive, which was also released in 1976.
I think my greatest memory of that album is, "Do you feel all right?"
Well, tell everybody what that's about.
So the voice box is a device that I don't even know whether people still use them, but they did back in the day, where you hooked your guitar up to this box, an electronic box, and a hollow tube came up, and you would stick it in your mouth. And you could modulate the sound of the guitar with your mouth, depending on whether you opened your mouth, closed your mouth, let a certain amount of air in, let air in, or mouthed words. And so you could make it sound like you. And in this case, he says, "Do you feel all right?" to the audience, and it sort of sounds like a bit like a robot, doesn't it? "Do you feel all right?"
And the he you're talking about, Jeffrey, is Jeff Beck,
Mr. Frampton. No, Mr. Frampton did that on Frampton Comes Alive.
Oh yes, okay.
Jeff Beck did it when we saw him. So
yes,
but it was a revelation at the time, an absolute revelation, and people loved it, and I loved it. Even I thought, wow, isn't this fantastic? I couldn't think of anything worse now, but it was very exciting. It was very exciting back in the day.
Yes, yeah. George Harrison introduced Peter Frampton to the voice box, believe it or not, and it's since become synonymous with Peter Frampton's work, because he did a couple of tracks on this album with that voice box, and you do a voice box track and you're known for it for the rest of your life. It's unbelievable.
I saw him on Stephen Colbert. I think it was Stephen Colbert.
Oh, yes.
Last year. He was a guest artist on there, and he had the voice box with him, and there was much joy and excitement.
Oh, well, and like all of us, he's looking the worse for wear.
He's still hanging around, though. He's still hanging around. Good on him. Still making music.
Well, good luck to him. So this album's got some great tracks. It's got Show Me the Way, Baby I Love Your Way, and Do You Feel Like We Do? Do you feel like we do? Yes, I knew I'd have to get some singing in there somewhere.
How often did you listen to the entire double album, though, Mick?
Not.
No, neither me.
It was a party staple.
Side one, I think, was about as far as we ever got.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know that we ever turned the album over. But anyway, it was a double album.
Yeah.
It was huge, and it was a live album. Give us another one, mate.
Mate, what about talking of yacht rock and overproduced Americans? How about Boston?
Who doesn't love Boston? If only Nick was here, he could give us the précis of Boston.
He could indeed. It's multi-platinum FM radio rock.
Indeed it was. Indeed it was.
It's more than a feeling, but less than an inspiring album.
That's right. I wasn't a fan, but
no.
There was songs on there that are sort of burned into their subconscious, whether you like it or not, and you're never going to get rid of them.
Absolutely.
So when you hear it, you'll sing along to it and you'll enjoy it. Yeah. But really, it wasn't really. And the album cover was fantastic. I can't remember what it was. A guitar, wasn't it? It was a guitar upside down.
Guitar in space or something, I think.
Something like that. I can't remember exactly. Can't remember exactly. Anyway, that's more than it deserves, that discussion.
But speaking of songs burned into the psyche, how about Rumours by Fleetwood Mac? 50 years old, this bloody album.
Holy moly. Never had such an album become so huge, never had so much cocaine being consumed, and never had so much infidelity occurred during the making of an album.
Never had so much infidelity been recorded for posterity. It's unbelievable. But the playing on this album is absolutely spot on. They're all great musicians. The cocaine merely spurred their artistic integrity.
And at the end of the day, who didn't love Stevie Nicks?
Well, everybody loves Stevie Nicks. Look, interesting stories, backstories on this album. I don't think we need to talk too much about the album. There's not a person on earth in the deepest, darkest jungles of Lesotho who doesn't know this album. Everybody knows.
Choose any Spotify playlist, make one up. At some point, a song from this album will appear on the playlist.
Absolutely. You can't help it. And look, at the end of the day, Lindsey Buckingham is the driving force on this, and it almost became, it was still always Fleetwood Mac, but it became Lindsey Buckingham's album. It became Lindsey Buckingham's band. And the follow-up album to this, Tusk, Lindsey Buckingham conceived, recorded and drove it. But anyway, the band themselves, Bob Welsh, the guitarist for Fleetwood Mac before this, Fleetwood Mac was successful, but they weren't anything like the mega multi-platinum band that they became. Bob Welsh had left. So Fleetwood was looking for a new guitarist, and someone handed him a tape of Lindsey Buckingham's Stevie Nicks album, because they were an item, which he loved. The album was called Buckingham Nicks. So he offered Lindsey Buckingham the gig as guitarist with Fleetwood Mac. And Lindsey said, well, Stevie comes or there's no deal.
Yeah, fair enough too.
Yeah, and Fleetwood wasn't looking for a girl singer, and he had to be persuaded to give it a go. And look, as they say, the rest is history. But the other side of that coin is Stevie Nicks was broke, because all of her work, including what she was doing with Lindsey Buckingham, had not really made any dent on the charts. So they weren't swimming in the luxury of rock star success. She was
Wow.
she was broken waitressing just to eat.
Wow.
Yeah, and her father got on the phone and pleaded with her to come home. Forget all this nonsense. Come home. Try a different path. So she promised her father that if things didn't change in the next 3 months, she'd go home and finish her studies and pursue a normal life. Clearly, she didn't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How old was she? How old do you reckon she was back then? I don't even remember. I should look it up, shouldn't I?
20? No. Early 20s. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you look at the clip of Rhiannon, and she's very young. Very young.
Yeah, and very sexy.
If you like that sort of thing, absolutely. I mean,
Jesus, if you like that, Jesus Christ. She's 78 now.
well, in that case, that's 50 years ago.
You know what?
28, yeah.
She was 28. She was older than you think.
Yeah. So she certainly looked very young and fresh-faced on the cover of Buckingham Nicks and in the promotional photos for Rumours. So
Yeah.
who'd have thought? So it's really interesting what happens before these people have mega gold success with their music.
Yeah, amazing. Anyway, let's. It's a seminal album. I think that's the words for it. I'll use.
It is indeed. Yeah. How vocabulary of you to use.
Yeah, I know.
Well done.
I looked up the dictionary before we started, and I found a word, and I said I've got to get that in somewhere.
That's fantastic.
And there it is.
I think
Thank you very much.
You should look at the thesaurus and use a word the same as seminal every episode.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Anyway, what can you say about Desire by Bob Dylan, Jeffrey?
I can say it's quite a nice album. Quite pleasant.
It is indeed. Look, all of the people who are Dylan fans right from the start will tell you that the freewheeling Bob Dylan and all of his earlier stuff is so much better than this. But I'm not going to buy that. I think this period, Blood on the Tracks, Desire, that narrative style, telling a story with every one of his songs, is really my favourite period of Bob Dylan. And this album, this and Blood on the Tracks are a box set. Put them back to back, and you've got a fantastic set of music. This
I fucking love this album.
Yep.
I love this album. This is just one of his best albums in my book.
It is indeed. Hurricane,
fantastic.
But there's some others in there. Everyone knows Hurricane and the issues that came out of that, particularly when Dylan got him off, and then he said, "Oh, sorry, I did it."
I know, that's bizarre.
It's bizarre. I suspect there's more to that story than we're ever going to hear.
I would love to know.
There's another couple in there. There's one called Joey, King of the Streets, Child of the Day. It's about Joey Gallo, a New York mobster. Now, I don't know why Bob Dylan is doing a song about a New York gangster, but the song itself is just fantastic. It generated a lot of controversy that he was seen to be glorifying, that gangster lifestyle and the mafia activity in New York, which is legendary. I've never understood it myself, but I do like and love the song. Mozambique, really great song.
Love it.
Yeah, I love so spend some time in Mozambique.
Mozambique.
Yep.
In aqua blue.
Well, exactly.
Cheek to cheek. Sorry.
That was good. We can cut that out, can't we? Dylan's sound here is a lot different to what it's obviously Dylan, so it's got that nasal vocal twanging that he does. But he wanted to create a more urgent, immediate sort of sound because he'd been touring with the Rolling Thunder Review. So he wanted to play smaller venues, intimate contact with his audience, not playing 50,000 seat venues, playing smaller ones. So his idea was to use the intimacy of smaller venues to inject freshness into the songs. So he put together a band which was part pickup, part the session men from this album and Blood on the Tracks. Emmylou Harris, Scarlett Rivera on guitar, guitarist Dave Mason, and believe it or not, Mick Ronson.
Mick's there.
From David Bowie. You would think, what the bloody hell is Mick Ronson doing? But he apparently really loved it, really enjoyed the freedom of playing Dylan songs because he'd been brought up on them. Everyone had been. And a lot of other sort of household names. Again, I don't want to turn it into a list, but the chemistry and energy from this tour was clearly evident on the album. It's fresh, the songs, really almost an uplifting sort of sound.
I'm just such a huge fan. Isis is just great. One More Cup of Coffee. Sarah.
Yeah, absolutely. And look what Scarlett Rivera added to those songs with that violin.
She's amazing.
Just amazing. And now I mentioned the Rolling Thunder Review, which, as I say, was a tour that Dylan wanted to do. He occasionally in his career he's had sometimes strange ideas about what he wants to do. There was another time where he wanted his songs. He wanted people to appreciate the lyrics rather than listen to them as songs. So he did a god-awful tour where every song sounded the same, and people were walking out because it was just so awful and boring. But that's by the by. This wasn't the case, and Hard Rain was documented on. The Rolling Thunder Review was documented on an album also in 1976 called Hard Rain. Now, as live albums can sometimes be, this one got mixed reviews because what happens on the stage isn't always captured on the vinyl.
Yeah, right.
But I've always liked Hard Rain, and I thought, wow, if this is what he sounds on a crap album, he must be really good. And I've seen Dylan a few times, and he can be great. He can be one of the best concerts I've ever seen, and one of the worst, depending on the tour. So I ascribe the same to this album, and I really love both of these albums. But Desire is just such a great album, and with him in that bloody fur-necked coat on the cover and the hat, it's really, really very appealing. And 50 years old. I mean, Dylan's about 1,000 years old, I think. He's been on the pension for a while. And he's struggling to put out stuff that's relevant these days, but who cares? He's got such a canon of fantastic material, and no less than Blood on the Tracks and Desire.
Fantastic. Big fan.
How we doing for time, Jeffrey? I'm on the clock on my screen. It says you are going way over time.
I think we'll do one more, and what I'm thinking we will do, because you've fucking done notes out the bottom arsehole to breakfast time, yes, we might just call it quits and then come back next week and continue on, for want of a better term. We'll just do the same. We'll just continue on. We'll just call it
part two.
I was going to say part B, but part two will do.
Mate, I've got the words.
let's do one more, and then we'll call it quits.
Yeah. What about the Saints?
What about them?
And since we love Ed Cooper so much, and Ed was a part of that, I'm seeing Ed Cooper next week, by the way.
Oh, really? Where's he at?
Yeah. He's doing a tour around East Coast venues, and believe it or not, he's at a local club. Now, I've been racking my brains about how they're going to present this because it's a very small club. But he does this occasionally. He plays small pubs. We've seen him at bigger venues. But he's never going to play at the Sydney Entertainment Centre or a 12, 20, 30, 50,000 seat venue. But he's playing a small club, and I got a feeling it's going to be really close and really good. So I'll let you know how that goes next time.
Excellent.
But I'm Stranded. Everyone knows the song I'm Stranded. Driving guitar. When Ed cuts loose, he really does, and it's really good. Great drumming. Ivor Hay on drums. And this started a career for the Saints, which primarily turned into Chris Bailey doing solo stuff with backing musicians.
Yeah, right.
But this album itself was... Look, I don't think it's unfair to say that this album was one of the kickstarters for the punk movement in the UK. It really embodies the simple, stripped down, do it yourself ethos that was punk. In fact, to the point that the band couldn't get any interest from the enlightened Australian record labels. So they said, "Bugger you, we think it's a good album, we're going to do it ourselves." So they formed their own record label.
Yep.
Produced the album, produced a single, "I'm Stranded," and hawked that around to labels and to radio stations in Australia and in the UK, where they got quite a few bites. And EMI in the UK heard the single, sent an immediate instruction to their subsidiary here in Australia and said, "Sign these people to a 3-year contract, 3-album contract immediately."
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, in fact, some people have said that this band, along with the Ramones and the Pistols, the Sex Pistols, were the 3 key moments of the mid-70s music scene in UK and Europe. And look, I can't disagree with them. Bob Geldof, who was good once, claimed that. The 70s was changed by 3 bands, he said, those 3. And Nick Cave was heavily influenced by the Saints' almost violent, as he describes it, approach to playing.
Okay.
Simple lyrics, solid rhythm section, and according to Ed Cooper, the album was basically their live set and played that way on the album. So it's really,
is that right?
really in your face, really, and we all know that when Ed gets going, he can really let it rip. And look, I've met Ed Cooper, and he's a lovely bloke.
I remember a certain little man, namely yourself, after maybe a couple too many sodas, when we saw them at Marrickville, and you disappeared because I remember I had a gammy foot and I can't remember what I'd done. Right. You disappeared and you came back and said, I've just been speaking to Ed Cooper. I said, oh, really? Why? What did you chat about? And you kept on talking. You mentioned it twice about his famous song, Thus Spake Zarathustra. He corrected
that's what I called it, yes.
That's what I mean. You mentioned it to him twice and he corrected you twice, you dick.
Oh, dear. Yeah, because the correct name of the song is Also Sprak the King of Euro Disco. And I said, Thus Spake Zarathustra. He said, no, it's actually Also Sprak the King of Euro Disco. So I promptly said it the wrong way again.
Yeah, you dick. And he must have thought, this guy's a fucking idiot.
Probably. Yeah. My apologies, Ed. I blame the drink.
On that note, mate, we're going to call it quits. And, folks, we will see you next time for part B.
Or 2.
Bye now.
Well, folks, that's a wrap. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you're enjoying this, tell your friends about us. Send us feedback at mickandthefatman@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. That's it for